The month of August, much like the rest of the summer, continues to zip on by, and boy, do we have a big event this coming Friday night, the third annual Lincoln Tech Open 80 for the Open Modifieds. And I guess there's a very good field entered and one driver standing out above the rest.
Yeah, Woody Pitcat. I mean, what else can you say about him? Last 3 races, 2 wins and a second. And he was very fast in the Spring Sizzler too, but had some issues at the end leading to a DNF. Woody has 80 career wins at Stafford. He's got to be careful because Keith Rocco's only 2 wins behind him and Tom Fern's 3 wins behind him. But we'll talk about those 2 later. Woody has just been in a bit of a renaissance year, it seems like, because he's just completely reinvigorated. He is having a great time. Him, Doug Dunleavy, Cam McDermott, that team, that trio just seems to work really well. A brand new car this year for Stafford, and it has gone so well for them. They're going to be a contender, and we've never seen 3 straight Open Modified wins by one driver.
So who are some of the others that could maybe knock Woody off his perch?
Well, you got Ronnie Williams. He's won a race this year. You got Mike Christopher Jr. He won a race last year in the Open Modifieds, and he's won multiple races this year across the New England area when it comes to modified tour-type cars. You got Spencer Davis, he's making his first appearance at Stafford. He's had speed in his car this season across other tracks. There's a lot of them. Eric Goodale, he's won a race before in an Open Modified at Stafford and the Modified Tour. I could go on and on. The point is, there's a lot of guys that have a chance to win. You have 10 to 12, maybe 15 of them that have a shot at the checker flag.
Nearly 30 are on the entry list for this Friday night's Open 80, sponsored by Lincoln Tech. Now, for our weekly division, so many storylines, as is the case every week. In the SK Modifieds, it was Kid Rock back on top.
Yeah, he's getting hot, Kyle.
He is.
I don't think that's a good thing. Yeah, he's back. 2 wins in the last 4 races, 3 podiums in the last 4 races. That one race he didn't get a podium, got caught up in a wreck, not of his own doing, and even then he said he had a really good car. You don't want that 57 to get hot. If Kid Rock is getting hot, the field's in trouble. So we'll see what Keith can do for the rest of the season. He has nothing to lose. No. It's not like he's in the championship picture after the bad start he had to the year. So he's always been about the wins, especially now more than ever. It's all about the wins because the big picture doesn't matter for him, but it does matter for Todd because, Kyle, it's the same old thing with Todd Owen.
Todd Owen back in the top 5 again last week. I believe he finished 4th and continues to extend that lead now to nearly 2 full races in the championship standings.
It's gotten to the point where he can have a mulligan.
Or 2 now.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just unreal. In the last 2 seasons, Kyle, his worst finish this year is 11th, right? In the last 2 seasons, he's only had 1 finish worse than 11th. That's incredible. That's just a mix of smart racing and a little bit of luck. Because you're going through the field every week starting mid-pack. There's going to be trouble in front of you. It's so hard to avoid trouble sometimes, but Todd has done it for the most part. Another top 5. He's got, 10 straight top 10 finishes, and 9 of those are top 5s. The consistency is just surreal right now with the 81 team. The other guys that were behind Todd in the points had trouble or just didn't have good runs. Right. Marcello finished 12th. Yep. Ronnie Williams and Brian Narducci didn't even make it to the green flag without having problems themselves. Brian Narducci made contact on the pace lap with Corey DiMatteo, ending his night. And then Williams had a mechanical issue. It took him, 10, 12 laps to make it back out on the track, but he was already way behind. So a lot of Todd's championship foes had issues, but not Todd.
Yep. Ronnie Williams didn't even take the green flag before distributor issues put him 7 laps down before he even got a lap at speed. In the late models, while we talk about Keith Rocco winning, the winningest active driver, in the late models, the winningest driver in the late model division, back in victory lane.
2 in a row.
Yep.
That 92 team's got something going. That's 3 wins on the year for Tom Fern, the 3-time late model champion, is really figuring something out. Whether it's the heat of the day or even when the heat wave cools off, that car is going good no matter the conditions. And Tom is slowly chipping in to Adam Gray's point lead because Adam Gray, breaking news, did not finish on the podium. He finished in 5th, but that's not the full story because in the very first lap, Adam Gray got pushed up to the marbles and lost a ton of time. He was half a straightaway, maybe 3/4 of a straightaway behind the main pack, and the race went green to checker. There were no cautions, and he still made his way up to 5th spot and not far away from Keenan Gambacorta, who were running 3rd and 4th. So it was a hard-earned run for Adam Gray. He did lose some points in the big picture, but that 97 team, despite the struggles in that race because of what happened on lap 1, they made the most of it.
They did, and those are the nights championships could be won or lost, and he made up a ton of ground over a caution-free late model race. You mentioned Darrell Keene. He's also come on strong here in recent weeks.
It seems like SRX was the turning point for that 79 team because since then, nothing but top fives, a lot of podiums, and a win. He broke that long winless streak a few weeks ago. So that 79 team, they've caught up to the rest of the field. At first, it was mostly Adam Gray, Kevin Gambacorta, and Tom Byrne. Now Daryl Keene's joined the battle, and Daryl Keene is not far away from getting up to second in points. That battle between Gambacorta, Tom Byrne, and Daryl Keene for second in the point standings is tight, and they're all reeling in Adam Gray after last week.
Absolutely. Going to be fun to watch here over these next couple of weeks and see if they can reel in Adam Gray and challenge for this year's late model title. In the SK Light Modifieds, it was the Mad Pup back in victory lane and a dramatic finish with one of his best friends.
Yeah, and Glace and Bassett going at it back and forth. And Bassett's getting hot, Kyle. He had a bit of rough luck in the beginning of the year, but he's won 3 of the last 7 SK Light features and had to hold off Anglace in the final corner. Nick sending it deep into turn 3 on the bottom line. They rubbed Nerf bars, but they kept it straight. Best buddies off the track, but on the track, that doesn't really matter. And Anglace is looking for his first win of the season, and he's had his struggles this year. He's doing whatever he can to make it back to victory lane because he did win 2 races last year. In the big picture, where do we even start with the points, Kyle? A lot happened because Tyler Berry came in as the point leader.
Yep.
Tyler Chapman was second in points. And then in the span of one lap, they're both out.
Berry hit the wall off turn 4.
And the lap before, Chapman
had a tire down.
Yeah, after
through a
spinning in turn 1, after contact with Debus and Matthews. And then Alex Pro finishes 6th, so he cuts the deficit pretty much by 2/3. He was, 50 behind? Now he's 20 behind. But let's not forget the 4th driver in this battle, Amanda West. We talked about her in last week's preview. Finishes 3rd, her first podium in 2 years. And now she's just 28 points behind the point leader, Tyler Berry. So the top 4 within 28 points with less than 2 months to go.
So 28 points separating the top 4, with Amanda West now being in that 4 spot. But she wasn't the only lady in the top 4 last week.
Yeah, Megan Fuller, her best career finish in the SK Light Modifieds. Her and Amanda were making that outside line work in the last few laps, and Megan was actually battling Amanda for the final spot in the podium, coming to a checkered flag, and it almost ended in a disaster in turn 1. But thankfully, it didn't end up as worse as it did. Amanda went for a spin, but didn't really hit anything. She was able to stop the car just before getting the safer barrier. But great run for Megan. She's in the top 10 in points. I think she's 7th in points.
She is.
And that's despite missing a race. That just shows how good that O2 team has been this year. They struggled a lot with their other car last season in terms of the car chattering in the corners. This year, though, they've really found their stride, and they're not that far away from getting that first win. So we'll see what that O2 can do. Maybe Amanda's not that far away from her first win, too. So it's going to be interesting what these next 6-7 races hold for the SK Lights.
In the limited late models, another new winner a week ago, and this time it came in the form of a rookie driver.
Yeah, we talked about that for a while, too. When was Kevin Cormier going to get that first win? Back-to-back runner-ups beforehand, and another runner-up earlier in the season. This time around, finally gets that first win. That's the 9th brand-new winner at Stafford this season. That's a lot. Just shows how much the competition evolves and how the new drivers come in. They can make a difference as well. 9 different limited late model winners this year as well. So good on Kevin Cormier and that 14 team getting that first win. A huge load off their shoulders because they knew they were so close so many times. But now, we've said it before, the first one comes hard. Maybe the second one comes a little bit easier. But in the big picture, Kyle, our championship contenders were really non-existent.
For the first time all year, I looked up at the scoring monitor with a couple laps to go, and the first, second, and third place drivers in the championship standings, not among the top 5. It was odd.
Yeah, Alex Fern finishes 6th.
Yep.
Rich Hammond, the point leader, passes Jeremy Lavoie on the last lap to finish 7th, and Lavoie ends back in 8th. They were just not a factor. I don't know if it was just an off night setup-wise. It's hard to get through traffic in the limited late models. It's underrated how tight that field really is. So when you start further back, it's not as easy as it looks to get past some of those cars that you might think are not as fast as you. So Lavoie, that's a big one for him because he was ahead of Hammond for 95% in that race. And then Hammond got right by him in the last corner, the last lap, and extended his point lead by 2. But it's still a pretty close battle between the 28 and the 6.
12 points separate the top 2, Rich Hammond from Jeremy Lavoie going into this Friday night. And in the street stocks, Bobby Sturck back in victory lane. Talk about peaks and valleys for a driver over the last couple of months. If he's not winning, he's on pit road because of a broken race car or a crash.
I feel like his finishing results is like the stock market.
Exactly.
Just up and down. But he gets his 4th win of the year, which is a big, big deal for that 9 team. 4 wins. That's tied for the most among the division with the point leader, Travis Hydar. It's just a matter of keeping that top performance every single week. So the big test for that 9 team, how will they do this Friday? How will they do the next Friday? Can they keep it consistent? I'm not going to say they're out of the championship battle, but it's not looking good for that 9 team. Right now, the point battle is between Travis Hydar and Burt Willett. And after the struggles that Hydar had the previous few weeks, a much-needed second-place finish for that 11 team. And it helps for them because Burt Willett found himself in trouble right where we're standing on the backstretch, spinning in the grass. So not a good run for Willett. Hydar able to expand that point lead once again after a couple tough weeks.
Yeah, Burt Willett finished in the 8th spot. That means about a 14-point gap that Travis Hydar was able to add on to his championship point lead, now at 50 going into this Friday night. Those are just some of the storylines going into this Friday night in all 5 of our divisions. Of course, this Friday, headlined by the Lincoln Tech Open 80 for the Open Modifieds here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. If you can't be here in person for all the action that gets underway at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, you can always tune us in on flowracing.com.